Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the UK Connection, along with my co-captains, as always, Steven Reid and Simon Bray. Although they may be in different spots, the way they're looking at it, I never can tell. Right? Simon's down here, Steven's over here, but it may show up differently. I don't know. Who knows? But thanks for watching. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Favorite, Least Favorite, and Wild Card. Today is all about Van Halen. Apparently, Simon picked this topic.
Did.
Cool.
Yes.
I'm not complaining. However, I'm not so sure I'm going to be smiling by the time we get done with this episode. I have a feeling. I have a feeling. But it's okay. All in a day's work, right? But before we start talking about Van Halen, Simon, what are you drinking?
Well, I am drinking a bitter ale from Higson's Brewery. There we go. All the way from Liverpool,
Wow. Okay.
which is about 50 miles from where I'm sat now. So yeah, it's only 3.8, so I could drink about 700 of them. That's good. And it's brewed with the finest English malts and choicest fuggles. What a great word that is, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Fuggles. Giving it a distinctive and assertive hop based character. Well, there you go. I'll decide on that one. I poured it earlier, put it into my trooper glass because, I can do that.
There you go.
And not entirely sure it's worth 3.8, but it's definitely worth a nice, sexy 3.25. Yes. Mm. I don't have any arsey comment to make about which band it could be or anything today. I'm just not to know.
No.
He's not
Oh, just
feeling motivated today.
I'm not.
Uh-oh. All right.
That's,
No.
that's a
The
bad
tone
start.
for the show has been set.
Bad start. There you go. Well, so I mean, I think I've shown this before on the show. I have a blackness stout, okay, from 71 Brewing, which is from Dundee, which is about 22 miles from me, something like that. It's 4.5, and it says that it's rich and velvety stout, balancing roast malts and chocolate notes. And as I showed Pete before we come on, I poured this just before we hit record. And let's just say the head on it was bigger than mine. It has come down a little bit since then, but I have at least had to, for want of a better term of phrase, no, I'm not going to say soak up some of the head. I'm not going to do that. I've had to remove some of the foam, so I've kind of tasted it, kind of not. Um,
I saw
yeah,
it, folks. It
it
was
really
it
was.
was a
It
lot of
was
head.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, the ratio was like 95% head on it. All my new glasses' fault because of the way that it bevels and wasn't
Has to
me.
be. Has to
Not me. I do like my new glass, which was, shall we say, acquired last
be.
night. There we go. So I really only have about two-thirds of the tin. There we go.
I really like that glass. So is that called level head? Is that what that's called?
Well, it's a level head IPA glass.
Got you. Okay.
What it is, because that's what I was drinking last night when I was out with a mate. Funnily enough, talking about Van Halen as we did. So yes, I really like the glass. So I did actually. I was nice. I was responsible. I asked if I could take it home rather than just stick it in my jacket because I don't like my jacket to smell of beer. So I got a clean one and I donated £2 to charity. And that was the deal that we struck when I got one. So I was okay with that. So yes, I like the glass.
What an
The beer,
honest guy, right, Simon? Look at that.
Absolutely. You can get fined here in the UK for that sort of thing.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
I,
And
I used to get my mother-in-law to stick beer glasses into her handbag.
well, see, what didn't help last night was by the time we left, there was the barman and me and my mate. So it would have been pretty obvious if I just taken the glass from him because there was nobody else there. We were
There's
basically
nobody else to blame.
no, we were basically keeping the guy out of his bed. Do you know? So realistically, I said, "Hey, you don't have to have a spare one of these." So anyway, this is really good. I've had it before. I would say this is it's a solid 3.9. It's not quite the four. It's not something that's going to go, oh, wow, it's amazing, but I do buy it when I see it. So around 3.9. It's very smooth, very nice.
Stephen, you mentioned, is that beer by Dundee? Is that what you said?
The brewery is in Dundee. Yes, yep.
Now,
Belfield Street.
is that the same Dundee that makes the double chocolate stout?
Well, remember, Dundee is the city. So Dundee is where it's brewed. The
Oh, but that's not
71,
71 is the brewer. Okay, never mind.
71 is the brewery. The chocolate one Oh, come on, you're asking me to remember things, Pete. I can't remember things.
You
Possibly.
have the olds too. That's everybody's got this
Oh,
thing.
I'm working on them early, you see.
Yeah, I guess it happens. It's inevitable for everybody. So, how many people remember what I said I was going to drink today on this episode? Steven? No?
No.
No?
I barely know my name, Pete.
Okay. I said I was going to have a stout this time. That's all.
You did. You
Right? I
did. I
did say
remember
that
that.
because I've deviated for a while. So I've decided to go with a very, very good American stout made by a very, very good brewery called Left Hand Brewing Company. It's their Nitro Milk Stout. It's called America Stout. It is super smooth with soft roastiness and mocha notes, 6% alcohol by volume, 25 IBUs, and it looks kind of like this. I got it in my Guinness glass. Kind of looks like a Guinness. Kind of smells like a Guinness. It definitely has more flavor than a Guinness. This is
Okay.
really good. This is one of my favorite, like basic, no nonsense American stouts. It's creamy. It's got subtle chocolate notes to it, roasty, but it's got more of what's the word I'm looking for? Like more of a mouthfeel than a Guinness. Like Guinness is kind of like a little on the watery side. I love it. But this is definitely a little thicker, a little more character. It's absolutely great. For anybody, I don't know if do you guys ever see Left Hand Brewing over by you? I mean, you can get it most places here in the States. Where is this? Where are they located out of? Out of Colorado. Very, very popular brewery here, and they have tons of different beers. They're always doing new stuff, but this one is like the ever dependable stout. Really, really good. So I'm gonna give this is a 4.25. Easy, easy. Yeah, it's really good. And at six, it's not, it's bordering on that. Can only probably have two, maybe three, if that. So, but yeah, cheers,
Yeah, yeah.
gentlemen.
Two per show, Pete. Two per show, yeah.
Oh, I have more downstairs just in case.
It
Unlike Guinness, Guinness, I could easily have two or three of those during one of these shows. But this might be pushing it a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how upset I get in about 15, 20 minutes. All right. So as we always do with these shows, we start off with our two favorites, one trip round, our two least favorites, one trip round, and then our wild card. The wild card could be pretty much anything. Could be an album that maybe sits in the middle of the catalog. You don't love it, you don't hate it, you really like it, or it could be a compilation, a live album, or something that's sort of related to the band. Maybe it's a spin-off band, maybe whatever, bootleg, whatever. It could be anything. Wild card is a wild card. It's up for interpretation. So, Simon, what are your two favorite Van Halen albums? And I'm sure, and I'm using favorite I think I'm pushing a little bit with
Well,
that.
I would just like to recap for any viewers that didn't watch our Power Metal show. You should. That Simon did ask when we covered this as the next topic we were doing. He did say, I do have to choose two favourites, don't I? I'm just saying. I'm just
Okay.
saying.
It's only two, just two.
Yeah, no, as in he was struggling to get there.
Right.
Have you finished?
Yes, yes, Uncle Simon. Sorry, Uncle Simon.
Time for Simon to speak. So this episode is entirely my fault, and it's my fault because in 2023 I bought this very Van Halen box set. It's got six. The first one, two, three, six albums. I mean, it's just took me about 15 minutes to close it because I'm stupid. And I foolishly said on the Christmas episode I bought this Van Halen box set, and I'm not really digging it, and I don't like it. I do remember saying that. And somebody said in the comments, "Well, if you don't like Van Halen, you have no credibility. Get off the channel," or something along those things. Because that's how these things work, isn't it? You don't like a certain band, so you're full of shit. Anyway, so what I actually thought, and this has been in Genesis for a very long time, is I really need to try my best with this. So, Stephen, this has been on the go for ages, hasn't it? I've been
Well, I
listening.
can assure you that I get regular messages from Simon saying I am still knee deep in what he likes to call the Halen.
Knee deep in the Halen. It's not even as good as knee deep in the Hoopla. Come on. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What I can honestly say that I've listened to every Van Halen album more than once, and some of them haven't even reached the heights of I can be asked to talk about them. You know, I'm looking at you, Balance 3, the last one with David Lee Roth. No, just no, can't be bought. No. So I have found things within the catalogue I like. I genuinely have. I have even expanded my Van Halen collection since I got the box set. Okay. Now, I don't need much of this box set for the favorites. No, no, I don't. And we'll come on. I know we'll come on to that later. Sorry, George. But what we will do. Sorry, America. I mean, Van Halen's America's party band. That's not a party I want to go to. Let's be brutally honest. I'm staying well shut of that party. But however, there are some Van Halen albums that I do actually like, and I have spoken with Stephen, like offline in real life, even though we've never met. And there genuinely isn't one where I like every nanosecond of it. Everything. I know we're all supposed to think that the first four are absolute classics, and not for me. I'll come on to that later. Right. So I do like two Van Halen records, very much like at least three of them. Okay. And just to really annoy people out there, my absolute favorite. Oh yes, here's 1984. Yeah, there we go. There we go. It's my favorite. I like this album. I don't know about you. I listen to the opening song, and I always, without fail, think Mr. Roboto is going to come on. Where Jump comes on, and I'm always just that little bit disappointed. However, Jump is great. What they do have, right, is although they didn't have many big hit singles here, whoever chose the singles chose the right songs. Yeah, Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher. Come on, guys, you were about 86 when you made this record. Hot for Teacher, really, really. Oh. However, I really genuinely like this record. I like Poppy Van Halen. I like them. That's the sweet spot for me. When the synths turned up, we'll come to the others. So I absolutely dig this. I like the sound of it. I like the big full sound. I like the songs. I don't always. Hey, where's all the cover versions? Whoa, were they? Woo! That makes me happy that they're not there. So, yeah, my absolute favorite is 1984. Swiftly followed, very, very swiftly followed. And see if you can work out which one I have had for the longest time.
Vintage.
Yes,
Here we go.
indeed. Yes. Oh, there we go. 5150, 5150. I don't know. Get that, open it up. But weirdly, much as I like the song, and I really do like the song, I've never bought it again. I may well do if I walk into a charity shop or a an old record shop. I've never bought it again because I just don't need to. But again, the singles on this, Dreams. I love that song. What a great song! Great song. As is Why Can't This Be Love? Really excellent song. Good enough. That's quite a heavy tune, isn't it?
Yeah, good enough is great.
Yeah, we like that. That's a bit of a ass kicker, as they say. As the young people definitely don't say. Yeah, no, they don't, do they? It's not a chone. It's not tunage. It's none of those stupid words, is it?
Not even a banger, and thank goodness for that.
I'll tell you what is a banger though, Stephen. Summer Nights is a banger. I like that. My sweet spot for the Halen is that kind of when they went pop. That really is my sweet spot. And things either side.
Summertime Van Halen.
They're gonna stay either side. But I have found some that I like. So America's not going to kill me yet.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm afraid to see what's coming next. Oof.
Well, see, this was Simon's suggestion, and when he suggested, I was going, yeah, Van Halen, I've got all their albums, so this will be an absolute walk in the park. I haven't listened to many of these for a long time, a long, long, long time, and I did kind of think to myself, why? And we may well discover that later. One of the reasons is because I agree with Simon, obviously, that I don't actually love any of these albums from start to finish. And there are reasons for that. So, favourites. This is not my favourite. It probably should be, and I understand that. And I apologise to the world for this not being my favourite. It's my nearly favourite, is what it is. And it's my nearly favourite because I get why I'm meant to love it. It's an immensely talented band who are writing exciting, innovative music at this point. And yet, there's a huge amount of smoke and mirrors here. Do you know, it's interesting because, let's mention George again. There's an awful lot of contradiction from people who really like this band because there's a lot of people I know who really like a singer to be able to sing. And David Lee Roth really can't at this stage. He's all pizzazz. He's all mouth and he's no trousers. Do you know, it's all, and all this kind of like, stop it, Dave. I don't need to hear you do that. Thanks very much. I don't want to be in those situations with you. Do you know? But there you go. And oddly, and this probably shows part of the issue with Van Halen, I really quite like Balance, but it's not quite my favourite. I like it because this is a hard rock album. They're not really mucking about by this stage. And I quite like hard rock. Not really breaking news there. However, what is a little bit of a shock is that my favourite coincides with Simon's. So it's 1984. Okay, I probably never need to hear Jump again. But then when I do, I quite like it and I can't help but sing along, you know, and you see the video and it's lots of fun. It's kind of the band at their best. They all know their role at this point. You know, David Lee Roth is the showman. He's there. He's just strutting about. He owns everything. Isn't it fantastic? Because Dave's here. That's what he's doing. Eddie's a bit quirky, a bit cool, a bit, whoa, I'm an iPhone, you know? But really, he's quite uncomfortable with the whole thing. But it's more endearing because he's, even at this stage, quite uncomfortable with the whole thing. Alex Van Halen plays every song. And you could give him a ballad with no drums, and he'd still be going, like, for no apparent reason. No apparent reason. And Michael Anthony is just, he's playing the fool, but he knows he's playing the fool. So it's all good. Hot for Teacher's great. It is absolutely great. I love it. It's just, you know, it's ridiculous. I love the drum intro. It's just so much fun. And I'm sorry, people, I don't love any of these albums from start to finish. I really dislike Panama. And I know that's going to upset
Yeah,
people.
I'm not a fan of Panama either.
I don't really quite know what it is because when it's on, I think, yeah, Panama. It's got a cool riff. It's quite smart. I know I'm meant to love all of Michael Anthony's backing vocals. I kind of don't. I tend to find that if I'm singing along with Van Halen, I kind of do the backing vocals in a silly little voice because it kind of hits like that. And I find it all just a little bit uncomfortable in that sense. And interestingly as well, because my next choice, I'm glad you're sitting down, Simon, is also 5150.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. So we're in complete alignment so far. Where we'll go for here, I don't know. And people go, oh yeah, you know, Sammy Hagar came in and they became a pop band. It was all his fault. Well, I give you I'll Wait from 1984. And if that doesn't basically go, let's write dreams for this album, I don't know what does. They're roughly the same song with a different singer and a slightly different melody line. It's quite clear that the band from 1984 into 5150 are going in this direction. And it really works here. Do you know, I just think that this is probably actually my favourite Van Halen album. And it's not where I came in. I had the Roth years first and all this kind of stuff. But there's stuff on here like Dreams, which is just, it's the best TV theme tune ever that didn't have a TV show. I mean, I listened to that and immediately I stop and look at the camera because it's like the start of Dallas or something. It's just one of those songs. It's just a bit kind of over the top. And yet you didn't notice, Simon, because you weren't looking at the time. But when you went things like, you know, Why Can't This Be Love and all that, so Pete kind of went, right? But that's because you and I like to do the melodic rock show. And that's roughly what the band are doing here.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, but they are also mixing up with lots of heavy shit. Okay. The album also has one of my really most annoying traits, but I'll cover that in a minute when we do least favourites, because there are things about the actual albums that really get under my skin. But what does interest me, I don't think I've ever gone from Van Halen right the way through to A Different Kind of Truth, just listening to every one back to back, which I have done over the last week or couple of weeks doing this, I have quite a lot of Sammy Hagar solo stuff. It's a bit hit or miss in places. Some great albums, some not so great. But he's a really good singer, whether it's Montrose, whether it's his own stuff. They try and turn him into kind of Sammy Lee Roth here. He's doing these vocal inflections and all these ticks and stuff. Don't do it. You don't need to do it. He's a better singer than that. I mean, he's a better singer than David Lee Roth. I'm not saying he's a better frontman. That's a different thing entirely. Different thing entirely. Okay, and I get why the original lineup works and worked. I absolutely 100% understand it. If you're just going to say who's the better singer, well, it's Sammy Hagar, and I'm not really going to take any, argument with that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he fits that style all the way through. And I hadn't quite noticed that before because I probably knew this before I knew his solo stuff really well. So I kind of just thought that's what Sammy Hagar does. He kind of doesn't really. But anyway, 1984, 5150, those are my favourite two.
All right, for all the Americans who are sitting in the chat right now, take a breath, take a sip, relax. Everything will be fine. Okay. Let's not have a revolt here. All right. How do you guys like I'll Wait from 1984?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's the underrated gem on that album, in my opinion.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so two interesting picks. But I get why both of you picked those albums, and knowing you like I do, especially Simon, I totally see why you would gravitate towards those two albums because there's a lot of similarities there. Uh, I'm not going to be anywhere close to what you guys picked, though. Obviously, I'm going to pick the what you would expect me to pick because to me these are the two greatest Van Halen albums. The first album, 100%. To me, start to finish, it's an absolute classic. Molten guitar tone. I mean, this is Eddie. Just I get what you're saying about David Lee Roth. Yeah, he does all these weird little things on these. It's yeah, he's a front man. He's charismatic. Is he the world's greatest singer? Hell no. But he fits this music. I mean, man, there's just one banger after another on this album. I'm the One has become my favorite Van Halen song of all time. In the last year, I can't stop listening to it. Ain't Talking About Love, Little Dreamer, Ice Cream Man, I think is great. On Fire is great. Running with the Devil in Me, Eruption, we know the whole thing. It's great. I love the production. They never quite sounded exactly like this on subsequent albums. Even the second album, which was released so shortly after this, same producer, Ted Templeman. There's something about this record that sounds different than all the other ones that came after it. But yeah, that's my number one without a doubt. I mean, there's like no contest. And my second is Fair Warning. I know a lot of people are like, well, Pete, you have to pick the first album and the second album. I really like the second album, but I don't think it's like the drop dead classic that everybody seems to. There's too many covers. You got some covers on it. You got just some kind of poppier stuff on it. I don't think it's the ass kicker that the debut is. However, this is. I think this is heavy. Eddie's all over the place on here. Mean Street is killer. Dirty Movie, Sinner's Swing, so much fun. Unchained is classic. So this is love. Push comes to shove. I absolutely love this. And I tell you what, Women and Children First, the third album, is not that far behind it. I rate and rank Fair Warning and Women and Children First above the second album. The second album is probably my fourth favorite. And I really like 1984 a lot. I think that song-wise, there's great songs on that album. Panama, I don't really dig, like you said. I never really liked it. It's kind of like Juvenile to me. And well, Pete, but you like Hot to Teacher? Yeah, there's something about Hot to Teacher though. Is just like that riff is just great. I mean, it's so cleverly put together. With Panama, I don't know. But yeah, my top two favorites are the first and the fourth album. I love them both. They're just absolutely amazing. And Mr. Van Halen, Edward, is absolutely amazing on these records. He's an amazing player. This is one of those bands, just so you guys know. When I was a kid, I was not a Van Halen fan. Do you know which album really got me into Van Halen? 5150. And then I went backwards and I discovered I liked the Roth era way more than I liked the Sammy Hagar era. Even though I dig a good chunk of the Sammy era stuff, I find I don't listen to those albums all that much anymore. I gravitate towards the Roth era stuff. So those are my first two picks. Back to Simon.
Just remind me where we're going next.
We are going to
Least
least favorite.
favorites.
least favorites. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things I dislike about quite a few of these albums is that they don't put the track listing in the right order on the back. That annoys the living shit
Yeah,
out
on a
of
lot of these, that's
That,
true.
that
That's
was the
true.
point about the actual albums I was going to make. And then
uh,
when they decide that actually, do you know what, that's a bad idea on 1984 and 5150 or 5150 or they just don't put the song names on the back at all.
uh,
I know. It's like, come on, people, follow normal convention for albums. Let's go. It's not rocket science.
this is
Band
true.
logo, name of the album on the front, track listing on the back, and who produced it. That's it. We don't need anything else. But if you're not even going to do that, don't go all Led Zeppelin on us every single time around. That doesn't make sense.
So this leaves me with a difficult set of choices. It really does. I feel like I should. I feel like I really should love, the first four. I feel like I should, and I've tried and tried and tried, and I've slightly veered away from my initial um, condemnation of the band to Stephen, which was the singer can't, the guitarist overplays, and why so many drums? Just saying. I now, I do and always have appreciated Edward, to be fair, but I just can't, I cannot connect with any of these. Just can't. But do you know what's really, really good about them? Really short.
Yes,
I
they
love
are.
absolutely 100%. There's no fat on there. They say exactly what they want to say, and they say it nice and concisely and quickly. And I genuinely appreciate it. I like the sound of the records. I like the tone of the records. I don't know who's ever said, "Hey boys, you're a really good cover band," because they're not. Doesn't help that I really, really can't stand Kinks covers, but that's not important right now. But I want to reserve some special ire for Diver Down. Which initially I thought that's all right, but do you know why I thought that was all right? Because of the covers. You think, oh, I've heard that one. I know that one. Oh Christ, no, no, I was so wrong, so wrong. Oh, I mean, Roy Orbison would be like, oh, so upset. Although, money, I don't know. He was dead by that. Was he dead by that point? He wasn't quite, was it?
Not
No,
No, probably not. Wouldn't have thought so.
a couple years.
87 he died, didn't he? So, some 5 years of royalties. Dancing in the street. No, absolutely, definitely not. And when he started singing on the first song of this, which according to the actual thing is "Where Have All the Good Times Gone?" exclamation mark. Yeah. Anyhow, that just I put that on, and he came in. Ouch! No, no, no. That just who produced that? That's no. That's just no. That said, Little Guitars is great. I really like that.
Yeah, it
I
is.
genuinely, I think it's really, really, really good. I like that a lot. But there's some weird shit on this as well.
That would
Oh,
have made a better EP, in my opinion, because there's some stuff on there that's just throwaway.
records.
I like the cover, the Roy Orbison cover. I think it's done pretty well. But yeah, the couple of the others are just like throwaway. There's some noodly stuff on there, but a couple of the actual original songs are great. But yeah, there's just so much that's just a waste of space on that.
You're a fan. Why did they put this out? That's what I'm asking. Why?
Oh, well, I'll tell you the story behind it because they were kind of a little burnt out. They were taking a little bit of a break after a tour. But I forget which guy in the band had the idea. We got to do a Pretty Woman. They were just going to do the Pretty Woman song and release it as a single. And the record label was like, no, you can't just release a single. You're the biggest band in the world. You have to go in immediately and do an album. And they weren't ready to do an album. So they did a couple more covers, threw a couple of other songs in there, and whammo, there you have it. So that's why it was a rushed album in a big way. They would have been better off if they would have just said, "Fuck Pretty Woman" as a single. Let's go take a break, then get back into the studio and write a real album instead of doing what they did. But like I said, there's a few great songs on there. Yeah, there's few things that I would have rather not heard, but they didn't
Record
ask
label,
me. So
yeah, record labels have a lot to answer for, don't they? They
yeah,
really,
oh yeah.
they really do. Oh,
Absolutely.
you're selling stuff. Let's really milk that cash cow, shall we? Like, some of the ones that I mentioned previously, like the one with Gary Sharon, and they made no impact on me. But this just makes me go, oh no, 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 not good. Definitely the runtiest of the runt of the runty litter. Yes. Hate mail to P. Pardo.
Oh,
I've done.
is it me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I have a lot of issues with Van Halen. And I have a lot of issues with Van Halen, not because I dislike them, but because do you know what actually? It's not that you've been bad, it's that you've disappointed me. Van Halen disappoint me. And they disappoint me because the amount of talent that's there, I mean, it's off the charts. And that debut album, whether it's one of my favourite two or not, it's mind blowing. It's earth shattering. It is genre changing. People start to chase that from there on in. We get Guitar Gods and all this kind of stuff. And it all really kind of stems from there, really. And yet, I am fascinated. There are not any really other bands that would get away with the amount of fluff, nonsense, and I'll go as far as to say laziness that runs through the early part of this catalogue. The first 5 albums, which are held up as being close to untouchable, there are 8 cover versions on those. Now, Simon has just said these are concise albums. These albums are 29 minutes long. If you're lucky, 31 minutes long. It's kind of as far as we push the envelope here. There's an album's worth of covers in the first 5 albums. And don't get me wrong, for every You Really Got Me, and I like the Kinks, okay, or You're No Good, I think that's a good cover version, there is a Happy Trails or a Big Bad Bill is Sweet William Now. And I really don't like the Pretty Woman version. I just think that there are just moments where they just kind of fanny about. They really just kind of, and I get it was pressure and label stuff, but Black Sabbath were pushed for another song, and they're all bloody paranoid. Do you know what I mean? It just kind of feels, and I'm not suggesting that every band is going to knock out Paranoid when they've got a spare 20 minutes at lunchtime, but you take the point. And I'm sorry, Pete, this is not one of my least favourite, but this album really sums it up for me. Side 2 is just mucking about. There's barely a song on side 2. They're just, instrumentals and and all this, aren't we hot and sexy? I really don't care. And what fascinates me is people that tell me that Van Halen at this point are fantastic. Oh, see that hair metal? It's absolutely terrible. This is hair metal. This is absolutely hair metal. It's all about the chorus, nothing else really. It's all about this guy here going, oh, look, I've got a nice chest, spandex on my legs, and I can strut around. And you've got a quirky guitarist that's got lots of paint on things. And I mean, really, if you look at this, okay, and then you look at that, all right, okay, and you can, and you're like me, you have to do this with your specs all the time. I'm really sorry, you end up here, okay, you end up there, and that's where you end up. That's what happens when you do lots of covers and you do lots of pop songs and throw away shit, and then it's kind of dressed up with all this kind of nonsense. If you misinterpret what these bands are doing, that's where you end up. I have always felt that Van Halen were kind of, there's hair metal and there's glam rock and there's Van Halen. They're up here. They're one of the founder fathers of the scene that everyone goes, oh, but it's shit. Well, there you
Even
go.
Martin Popoff and I did an episode of Friday Morning at the Funhouse many months ago, and we said exactly that Van Halen were the blueprint for the whole hair metal movement.
Well, what's the song on this? So Danger, Danger did Slipped her the big one. I mean, come on. Really, guys? Do you know? I mean, you really did that? Winger did 17. Ooh, I mean, back in the day, people did that kind of shit. You shouldn't be writing rubbish like that. Everybody wants some.
I want
There's
some
absolutely no
too.
difference. Absolutely. And the lyrics are as dumb as shit as you can possibly find anywhere. But no, Van Halen are not like that. All day long. And I've thrown that in the ground because I'm annoyed. This is garbage. I get there's things like little guitars and cathedral, and no, it's a rubbish album. It's a rubbish album from start to finish with a couple of good moments on it. The covers are atrocious on this. This really is such a disappointment. How do you get from the debut to this? How do you get from the fire and the urgency and the innovation of the debut to These albums are short. They are really short. And there are all those cover versions, and some of the instrumentals are amazing, but they became a millstone. We have to have an instrumental. Eddie's got to have his moment. Write an album. Anyway, my second choice, because Diver Down is my least favourite, is the obvious one. It's Van Halen 3. And it brings me to another issue. And that issue is that when you bring in a guy like Sammy Hagar and you kind of go, do you know, we want you to sing like that guy that was there before. Well, you get to Gary Sharon, they're still doing it. They're still doing this stuff. He's still making these stupid noises and he's still singing as if he's a kind of strutting about guy. They're all old by this point. What are we doing? We don't need this attitude. Just write some really good songs and let a really, really, really good singer sing. And he sounds fucking terrible on this. Gary Sharon sounds like, I mean, I could have sang this album and sounded like Gary Sharon on it. And I love Gary Sharon. He's a great singer. He's a great singer. He's not the problem here. The problem is that a band with this amount of talent wrote a collection of songs that don't suit the singer they brought in. Huh? But what exactly are we doing? I forget the name because I really am getting annoyed because it really does upset me. I listen to this catalogue and I get angry at the catalogue. Whatever the song is, the longest one that's on here that sounds a bit like Led Zeppelin, that's really good. It's really good. And it shows you that actually, had they really taken a bit more thought, says me, I'm teaching Van Halen how to write songs here. Right? Full of shit. Who's full of shit? I'm full of shit. I get that. But if they really sat down and thought, do you know what, this is what this guy can do, this could have been really good. And this is my problem with Van Halen. It's not whether I like them or whether I don't. I've got everything they released. I've got really shoddy greatest hits albums with really crap extra bonus tracks. It's not I don't like Van Halen. I just feel that very seldom did they actually hit the standard that they should have hit. And I just think they get a free pass. They get a free pass because this boy can do all this, and Dave Lee Roth does a bit of that. And isn't Michael Anthony fun? Yeah, I'm listening to it at home though. I'm not seeing them live. They didn't tour the UK. You know what I mean? I didn't get that experience. I got to sit and listen to it here. And at home, I just kind of go, yeah, they're all right. Sorry. I feel like I've got that off my chest. I felt this a long time ago.
Feel better now? It's like,
Really have it. No, not really, because I still own all this shit.
well, you can hold Van Halen 3 back up because that's my number one least favorite. In fact, I don't even own it. I feel no reason to own it. It's that bad. And I agree with everything you said. You bring in a singer, and let's be quite frank here. Gary Sharon is a hell of a singer and a hell of a songwriter. And you bring him in and tell him to sound like Sammy Hagar. Why? And you bring him in to sing songs that he probably had little to do with, and they're not even good songs. They're not memorable songs. That's the one thing. Even like on my second pick for this category, which I don't like the album at all, but I will 100% admit that there's great songwriting on it because it's a pop album. But they couldn't even give Mr. Sharon good songs to show his talents with. Sing Like You're You and hear some great songs or help us write some great songs. Instead, it's an album full of unmemorable songs. There's not even any great Eddie guitar work on it, really, save for like a song or two. There's just nothing memorable about it at all. That is like one of the biggest, like, kind of comeback disasters of all time. On paper, that should have been a great album because they found a great singer that on paper should have worked, and it was a disaster. Absolute
I'm
disaster.
just going to say, "Year to the Day" is the song on it that I really like. I think, and that shows that there was something there. That's why I get so angry about that
Yeah.
album.
To me, there's like two or three really good songs on there or pretty good songs, and the rest of it is just completely forgettable. And that's, when it comes to Van Halen, you don't normally say forgettable. You may have issues with things here and there, maybe too many covers, whatever, but to say forgettable when you're talking about Van Halen, that doesn't normally happen. That's a forgettable album. Nobody, 20 years from now, nobody's ever going to talk about that album, except talk about how bad it is and how, thank God they released a different kind of truth later on, because could you imagine Van Halen 3 being the last ever thing we hear from that band? That's pretty pathetic, right? Yeah. So my other least favorite, I could have picked on Diver Down. I pick on Diver Down all the time. But really, when you come down to it, there is an album I dislike more. And again, it's filled with lots of pop songs. This album, these songs were all over the radio, all over MTV the year this came out. You couldn't fucking escape them anywhere. And all I kept thinking was, God, isn't OU 812 like there's no balls to this record. Oh my God. It's like if Cabo Wabo feels so good. So good. So nice. Come on, that's not Van Halen. Give me a break. Mine all mine. It's ridiculous. Sucker into three piece. It's just so saccharine pop Van Halen and just like the entire album was written just to get on MTV and get on the radio and all the kick-ass stuff. Because quite frankly, I think 5150 is a great album, and I really like For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge a lot. And I think Balance is pretty good. Like I said, these are great pop songs, but I don't want a whole album or most. I mean, there's a couple of pretty decent rockers on here. I'm not going to kid, but man, half of this album is all stuff just geared for, pop radio and MTV video stuff. I mean, pop radio and MTV video play. That's all it is. And I was so disappointed in this album when it came out. And I can listen to it now, and I'm kind of like half of it. I'm just kind of like, I never ever need to hear any of these songs again. I heard them ad nauseum. I didn't like them when they were popular. I don't like them now. And a couple of the deep tracks are okay. Apolitical Blues, not too bad. Black and Blue, that's a pretty good rocker. Yeah, the rest of it, When It's Love, oh, another one. Synthesizer drum, maybe Simon likes that. I don't know. But it's love. Da, da, da. Oh, come on, man, enough. So yeah, literally half of this album, I never, ever, ever have to hear again. So yeah, that's my other least favorite. I just never have a need to listen to it at all. That's like Van Halen light. I mean, a lot of people say that the Van Hagar era is Van Halen light. I don't mind most of that. This is way too light for me. It's just way too light. It was way too overplayed here, and yeah, no good, no good. Anyway, wild card time. Back to Simon.
Okay, it's quite difficult to follow that. I'm going to a second now. Because they all actually sold a bazillion copies, these albums, didn't they?
Oh
You know,
yeah, Jesus.
it's quite difficult to say, you might not be familiar with because, they're one of the biggest selling bands, particularly Merca, of all time. Anyhow, I like this. I really like it. It was nearly one of my choices. As you can see, I bought it. That said, Apolitical Blues is the worst thing ever committed to compact disc. God, I hate that. I could cheerfully never ever hear that shit again. But I really, really, I love When It's Love. Oh, it's so nice. Look at that. It's just so nice and so summery, and we don't get much summer over here. Cabo Wabo's great. I read something the other day saying Cabo Wabo is Zeppelin-esque. Well, I would like Led Zeppelin if it was. And I don't.
I was gonna say.
That's a bit like, no, I don't.
Really not.
Really, no. I know why I didn't like this for Unlockable Carnal Knowledge at the same time because I remember thinking, oh, you've got a sweary acronym. Grow up, dick brains. But I like it. I bought it. Yay! Right. Anyhow, I'm nostalgic. I also bought the live album, which I like a lot. I love live albums. I know you don't, Stephen, but I do. I'd like to hear Sammy sing Dave songs. I do. I like it. I'd like it. I just do. So I like that. So, yes. Is that the
What's
right way
that?
around?
What's that you've got there?
Van Halen live? Like
Are these the same thing?
Same thing.
probably right here, right now. Yeah, probably the
Yes.
same. In a
Yeah.
different color. Yeah, so I like. But I'm not going to choose those. No. Now somebody said, and I'm not choosing this either. I've brought more show and tell for a Van Halen show than I've brought for bands that I actually like. So somebody said in the comments when we said we were going to do this, I bet Simon chooses the first Montrose album. No. I'm not going to do that. But you see, the contrarian in me really, really wanted to choose and then realized that there's no real link to Van Halen. Ronnie Montrose's Open Fire. And then I realized I've got no other forum with which to say how much I like this record. There's no other way that the shows that I turn up on that I can say this is really. There are so many ideas and bleep and sounds within this. It's really great. I really, 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 really like it.
That's
But
the biggest stretch for a wild card I have ever seen on this show.
which is why I'm not. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just doing a Stephen. I'm showing everything in the entire universe.
See, you created this monster. See, there you go.
Absolutely. He's finally catching on after all this time.
I can carry on stretching. I really can. Don't worry about that. Hey, you know, I I love, really, really love just the guitar solo on Beat It. It's fucking great. It
Oh,
really, really
damn right it is.
Absolutely.
hey, you've got Toto, you've got the annoying singer, and you've got what a great solo. Just really
We
turn up,
almost made it. We almost made it.
almost did it. Yeah, turn up, plug in, play one of the great solos in popular music, and off you go. It's just absolutely, absolutely brilliant. And what you think about Michael Jackson, it's great.
Kermit meets his demise.
Oh, that's
Oh, that was classic.
sorry, Kermit. Thumbnail. Okay, right. So,
I like saw that in slow motion.
Do you know in however many years' time when YouTube puts that most watched part of the video bit at the bottom? There you go.
See, people gonna keep rewinding, watching it over.
Forget those guys talking shit. We
at
came
least,
here for Kermit getting killed.
at least it wasn't the fucking wallpaper this time, was it? Just well, that's caught me in mid-flight. I also really, really like, and occasionally, when we did the quote show, I said that I have little times when I can only listen to the quote for little periods. I have times when I can only listen to one song off this very short album, Starfleet. Yeah, Brian May. I fucking love
yes.
it. Yes, yes, I absolutely love it. I love it. And some of this, and there's only 3 songs of it, is self-indulgent bollocks.
Yes, it is.
I say some of it, almost all of it. But the actual song I listen to over and over again, I love it. But I was never tempted to buy the reissue. Edwards on this, and really, I might not like the Halen, but I can absolutely 100% appreciate the guitar-based fun. And later today, I'm just going to go throw paints all over the walls in honor of getting through this actual program.
You did a good job, Simon.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'd just like to re-emphasize Simon's point there that there will be people who will be thrashing themselves in the comments. Heidi Van Halen was an innovator, an immense talent. Somebody, as I say, he turned the whole genre upside down for all the best reasons, in the best possible ways. Doesn't mean that I've got to love everything that he was part of, to be fair. Yeah, 01812 is an interesting, OU812, excuse me, is an interesting kind of album because I came from very much at that point a melodic rock background, so I listened to that album to death. It hasn't necessarily aged well, but I don't have a problem with the pop tunes because I quite like pop tunes. Something we'll come to in a few weeks' time, not the next show, but there's an interesting thing there too. So, wildcard. I usually like to go a bit off piste on a wildcard. Not quite as wild as a member of the band that was never even close to the band that we're talking about. So that's more of a stretch than I can go to. There's not that many with this. I very rarely went for the live album, but Sammy Hagar's between song raps on this, they're not good. They're really not good, Sammy. Don't do that, And I really dislike the fact that, they do acknowledge it when, I think nearly at the very end, that it's 2 nights recorded for one show. Just blend in the crowd. Come on, guys. Just most live albums are doctored. Let's just pretend. Let's pretend it was a show. Let me be there. Don't fade out in the middle of it. Anyway. So I've gone really with the only obvious choice that I could go for, right? Because this to me is David Lee Roth's finest moment by quite some distance. I like Eat 'Em and Smile, but that's Dave kind of going, do you know what? I could be Van Halen. I don't need those guys to be Van Halen. This is the one where he's never a great singer, okay? And I think he would acknowledge he's never a great singer. but it's the one where he kind of grows up, for want of a better turn of phrase. It's got one of the best summertime hits in rock on it. Just like Paradise is just a phenomenal song.
Yeah.
It's the catchiest thing in the world. I mean, it's one of those songs. But if I play this album, and I tend not to play this version because it's got bloody Just the Gigolo and things at the start, and the California Girls at the start of each
Yeah,
side.
that is awful. Oh, God.
Totally ruined the running order of this entire album by adding extra stuff. Oh, anyway, but if I put this album on and Just Like Paradise plays, my kids know that song. Do you know what I mean? It's just one, and it's so catchy, and I absolutely love it. And I know that it's just a pop song, but such a good song. And then you've got stuff like of Damn Good. It's an acoustic thing or a clean thing. That it's just a really kind of considered song, and it's really put together. I just really like it. I mean, you do have the cock and ball song because that's really what Hot Dog and a Shake is alluding to. That's what you're hungry for. Um, but there's things like Stand Up Here. That's another great song. I absolutely love the title track. It's not prog rock, but I tell you what, as far as kind of the Van Halen oeuvre goes, it's as prog as it gets. And people were like, no, the production on this was just... At the time, people hated this. It's fascinating because the box set with the 5 albums that he did at the start of his solo career just came out a couple of weeks ago. And suddenly everyone was going, yeah, I always liked Skyscraper. It's such a great album. Nobody liked this at the time. Nobody liked
Yeah,
this at the time.
no.
They all liked one good song. He released it as a single. The rest of it's shit. This is really good. And it's partly down to production because he's not trying to be Van Halen. He's actually kind of go, do you know what? I can be a proper artist and actually do something beyond just strutting about and being silly. And then I saw him on the tour and he strutted about and was silly and he went above us on a surfboard. It's brilliant. It was so good, right? So good. Anyway, it really was because when I went to see him live, I wanted to see that. That's what I wanted. I wanted nonsense. I wanted showmanship. I wanted high kicks. I wanted jumping off the drum riser because that was Dave Lee Roth. I also wanted to play lots of songs off this, which he kind of didn't do. But there you go. So that is my wild card. It's probably the favourite album I've spoken about tonight. And if that doesn't generate some hate, I don't know what will. That's not why I've
Wow.
chosen it.
All
But
right.
I just think it's great.
Yeah, nobody was interested in that when it came out because it wasn't
Oh,
Eat 'em Smile. Eat 'em and Smile was basically, oh, we can out Van Halen, Van Halen. Look at this band
absolutely.
I put together. And then that album comes out and it's kind of a squeaky clean album. And you almost don't even notice that Billy Sheehan's on it and Steve Vai is very reserved, although just like Living in
Oh,
Paradise, he's playing some fantastic guitar on that.
I
That's
tell
really
you, I listened to this again today, and yes, he's not all over it, but the solos are fantastic. And some of the work he does in Damn Good, which is a really restrained song, as I say, it's clean or acoustic or whatever. But those that he's pulling at the start, not everyone can do this shit.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? And rather than just go, whoa, look what I can do, they play songs. I want songs. This is a theme across a lot of things that I talk about. I'm not a guitar player. Never wanted to be a guitar player. I played the drums, but there you go. And therefore, when a guitar player comes out and goes, wow, I kind of go, "Oh, okay."
It's a real shame is that, Jason Becker joined his band after Steve Vai left, and that should have been the welcome to the show, Jason Becker, right? Because before that, he's doing solo stuff in Cacophony, and really, nobody knew who he was. He gets this big, high-profile gig, the album tanks, and then he gets sick. And it's
Yeah.
just like, man, I wish
And
he had at least a couple of years in the spotlight doing that gig.
yeah, I mean, but it wasn't actually, there you go, I'm telling a lie. It wasn't this tour I saw David off on. It was a little late enough to him. By that time, Jason Becker had gone because he wasn't well enough to do it. It was
Yeah,
that instantaneous. It was as the album was coming out.
yeah.
And it was a real shame. He's had an amazing career since then. Amazing career since then. Jason Becker. What a talent. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, God, he has lived with ALS now for like 30 some odd years. That's got to be the longest. Nobody lives that long with it. Nobody. He's still there. He can't move. He does like he's able to communicate with eye movements and things like it's just crazy like what he's been able to accomplish, compromised
Well,
like he is. You know?
absolutely.
Crazy, crazy. What a life. All right, so yeah, I mean, there's things to choose from for this wild card thing. I almost went with a different kind of truth as the wild card because it is the last album. It's the return album with David Lee Roth. It's half of the material is songs that they were doing before they did the first album and whatnot. I think it's a great album. I really like it a lot, and it was one of the great comeback albums for me in recent memory. I decided not to pick that. Yeah, there's not a lot of live albums. There's Wolfgang's albums. You got the David solo stuff. But ultimately, I decided to go with the most recent Van Halen thing I've gotten because I didn't buy this when it first came out. But I don't know. I've been reading a lot of Van Halen related books of late, and I was like, you know what? I really would like to have at least one Van Halen live album because I never got the one with Sammy. So I went out and got Tokyo Dome, which was released, God, what year did this come out in? 2015. So this is now 10 years old. So this was recorded in Tokyo on the first or the second big tour with Roth back in the band. And you know what? It's really fun. And this is like one of those live albums. They could have gone into the studio and fixed and doctored up a lot of David's vocals because they're really not great, but the band is on fire on here. I mean, Eddie is playing really, really well, and it's got all the classics. Well, all the Roth era classics. There's no Sammy era stuff on here at all, but it's just really good. The band is on fire. It's just amazing how like Roth in the latter part of his career, he just turned into this kind of like just like crazy egotistical show like Las Vegas showman type of guy. And he's more interested in like I guess he was always been that, but yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that is maybe the least bizarre turnaround in rock history. He was always playing that guy.
Yeah, but it's like it's way more exaggerated now
But,
because
but,
now
but,
he's not
he,
even attempting to sing anymore.
but
Now he's
he's
just like he's
working with what
talking
he's
and
got. He's working with what he's got, which is not a
nothing.
lot.
Yeah.
Once he loses his sex appeal and he starts to have a hairline like mine, realistically, what are you left with?
Yeah.
Not a good deal.
I mean, there are, and I really like this live album a lot, but there are some certain songs where he's got zero range to sing these songs anymore, and he's just like talking and muttering little things through and through, and I'm just like, Dave, just shut the fuck up and let Eddie play because you can't sing it, so just don't. We can deal with not hearing you for the next minute and a half, right? Until you can come in and sing something that is passable at least. But like I said, Edward is great. The band is great on here. It's everything you'd want to hear. I'm not going to go through the track list. You can see them right there. But yeah, I think this is really cool. I've been listening to this a lot because I only just got it not all that long ago, and this is recorded in 2013 at the Tokyo Dome and released in 2015. So I really like it a lot. Like I said, I could have gotten the Sammy live stuff, but there's so little of the early stuff on there. Yeah, they do a couple songs here and there, and I just was never all that motivated to pick them up. But this I really wanted to get because I just wanted live versions of all the old stuff. But then I discovered like a couple of websites recently where you can get really decent bootlegs of classic era Van Halen live concerts from like the late 70s and early 80s. And I'm like, yeah, I guarantee you once I start stocking up on those, I will never listen to this thing ever again. But we'll see. Yeah, exactly. Right. So yeah. So those are our picks. That wasn't as bad as I thought.
We all love the Halen,
Yeah.
don't we, Simon?
Yeah, it's like Steven did a little mini rant and Simon dished out a little bit. But that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. So, for everybody watching, of course, uh we all like what we like and don't like what we like, but pick out your two favorites, your two least favorites, and your wild card. Put them down there underneath Simon. Okay. He promises he won't peek until it's time. And
Might not peak at all.
might not peek at all. Yeah, he's
No,
probably not
no,
that
no,
interested.
none of the peak. I'm more like Pikachu at the moment, so it's too nuts.
This after this one airs, this may not be our safe space.
Exactly. That's all right. Kermit will will look out for us. Wherever he is right now. He's hiding in the pantry with because there he is. There he is.
John, get off him. Jesus.
Stephen, give us a preview of what to expect on the next episode.
Well, if we still have a show to come back to in 2 weeks' time, we are going to go off at left field. This was an idea that I kind of stumbled across when I was and I do have some putting all of my records into these shiny things to make them safe after all these years of me really not looking after them because life happens. And there was a few things that I came across as I was sleeving up all of my records that I genuinely went, so what's this then? And when you do, and I'm sure lots of viewers can relate to this, when you start to have a music collection that's a little bit large, there are often things you come across that you genuinely kind of go, so who bought this then? Because I didn't. And that is the point of the next show. We're all going to choose 5 albums from our collections that, for whatever reason, we kind of go, so what is this thing? It's forgotten albums that we own, that we probably bought, or maybe didn't, or whatever it may be. So that's the general idea: is let's go and discover things in our own collection that we barely even know we have.
Yeah. You look at it and you're like, I don't even know what genre this is. You look at the track listing, you're like, I couldn't tell you how any of these goes. Why is it here? Why do I own it? When did I buy it? When was the last time I listened to it? Question marks all over the place. The thumbnail is going to contain lots of question marks for the next show, without a
Yeah.
doubt. So, yes, that's what we're doing. So, for the next 2 weeks, folks, think of albums in your collection. Go through and look and go find. It's like, oh, what is that? Yeah, I don't know what that is. I own it though. Are we supposed to listen to these like in the next 2 weeks? And
Well,
like,
it's interesting that Simon also asked me that question a few weeks back. Are we meant to listen to
I
these?
guess we
Well,
have to, right?
it's going to be quite short if we don't, was my
Yeah,
thought.
we're gonna have to. Yeah. Okay.
Guess what? Didn't know what this was, still don't. So, yes, we do actually have to put in some homework. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. I didn't have to do any homework for this episode, so I'm totally fine with that. So that's cool. Yeah, geez, I haven't even started to look yet. I know I'm going to find way more than 5, and I'm going to have to be like, all right, which are the most puzzling out of all this stack that I pulled out? So yeah, it's in
Yeah.
fact,
The,
I'm
the
I'm
list,
looking at some sitting right here on my desk that I'm like, why do I have this? I don't know. They're here.
the list I have at the moment is what I would call embarrassingly long at this stage.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to find lots of puzzling things in our collections, right? Yeah. Yeah, the curse of the collector, man. The
Why
curse
have
is
I got
real.
this? Why do I have these? What? Me? Really? Oh, oh, right. Okay, got it. I understand. I'm with you. Sorry.
All right, folks. That's a wrap. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. For Simon Bray, Steven Reid, and Kermit, where is he? There he is. He's still with us. Very good. He got saved from the jaws of death. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you back here in 2 weeks for another episode of the UK Connection. Tune in tomorrow for ranking the albums. John Gaffney, Rich Catino, myself, and Joe DiBiase, former bass player of Fate's Warning and current Liege Lord bass player, ranking the albums of Liege Lord. That's coming up tomorrow. See you then for that. For the gang, have a good one, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.